Hello, welcome to Petra Media Talks. I'm your host, Terrence, and this is my second channel. This is the one where we have those off-the-cuff conversations about things that we can't really fully discuss on the main channel because algorithms be algorithming. I'm gonna call it that for now. And I always like to discuss topics of trends that I see in our music community. And I wanted to talk about something that's gonna be a little touchy, but I think it's something everybody needs to hear because it might be one of the reasons why people aren't seeing the traction they really want to see. Being your authentic self. We all know when we work in our day jobs, we do what's called code switching. You change up your behavior because you understand that the mannerisms that you have at work have to be a certain way versus your mannerisms at home versus your mannerisms in the studio. Now, the mannerisms that I want to have you understand that you probably need to do a little bit of shifting is the home and studio mannerisms. You kind of want those to be more similar than separate, mainly because it showcases your authentic self. Think about this. When you watch somebody on YouTube and, guy's got his hat cocked to his side and, he's like, yo, 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 ya, 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 whatever, like all of that stuff. Is that who he is? In your everyday life, when you see he or she doing things, talking to people, communicating normally, then they code switch to act like 1985 hip hop production producer. Does that sound right in 2025? Now, this is not a knock on people who are actually like that, because honestly, if you're genuinely that person, I can respect that. I can fully respect that. The problem is when you've never lived that lifestyle at all. Like you grew up in a gated community and with a lake, and all the creature comforts, and you've never fully ever experienced that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't translate well. And I think that's the thing you need to understand. Your sound, let's put it this way. Communication between human beings is like 80% your body language. It's not really what you're saying. Like you can literally say to somebody, we're going to bleep this out, I'm going to you up versus I'm going to you up versus I'm going to you up. Like all three of those mean something different, even though I just said the same thing 3 times. And when you showcase yourself in a certain manner that doesn't match anything that looks like you, everybody sees it and then they feel it. And then they're just like, Next, in this past year, I've watched so many people's content because I think it's important to give everybody the opportunity to see that they have been seen, they've been heard. People like what you're doing because a lot of producers, even if the music isn't the greatest, I can see the perspective of the direction they're trying to go in. And I think it's important to let people know that because when I started doing videos for YouTube, I wanted to make sure people understood where I was going with things, but I also kept everything authentic. You can tell who I am. I come in and I'm a very direct person. I'm a direct person. I'm a father. I'm positive and I'm focused. And unfortunately, because of the first thing, being so direct, a lot of times people think that I'm being rude when I'm just being honest. How did that take sound with my vocals that time? It sounded like ass. We need to do that again. Let's fix it. I think you're a little out of key and, we could adjust the tone a little bit. Also deliver it a little differently, give it a little more love and care, less harshness, You're trying to make love to her, not throw her head through a wall. That doesn't sound right. I'm very direct with the way I want things to be when I'm in the studio with people. And unfortunately, I'm also very direct in life. So that's who I am. I'm positive and I tend to joke a lot because dad jokes is life and I'm a father and I have kids. It is what it is. And they get it, even if sometimes it annoys the hell out of my wife. At the end of the day, it's just really important. I think that's something that our community is lacking, the authenticness. And I was listening to a video this morning and the guy was playing a classic record and he was trying to get the break beat off the record and you could hear him stumbling over his yo-yo type of talk from the 80s. And mind you, he wasn't born in the 80s. He looks like he was born in 2001. So it doesn't make sense. Like if you grew up with your family playing that music, sure. If your content, because another thing I do, by the way, and I'm sure a lot of people do this sometimes too, maybe I'm the only one, but I see a video and I see a behavior and I'm just like, that doesn't feel right. I'll actually go watch 2 or 3 more of your videos to check it out, just to see. And I noticed that there were a lot of inconsistencies in his tonality and the way he was delivering things. Remember I said, 80% of what you're doing is your body language. And, he's saying things, but the body language is not matching. So I think what happens is someone opens up their YouTube app, they start to look at, things, they start scrolling through, you're thumbing through, going through things. You run into a video and you're just like, let me check this person out. And then 30 seconds in, you've already figured out if you like or don't like something. The mind is interesting the way it works. Think of it like interviewing. Think about your content on YouTube like you're interviewing. You are interviewing for the opportunity to convince the person who's watching you to listen to you more than 30 seconds. Think about it that way. What makes somebody want to listen to you for more than 30 seconds? It's a hard question. And I approach my videos in that manner every single time, simply because I think it's important. Like if you want to deliver something, you have to do that. Because when you walk into an interview to go try to get a job, you don't go in there and say some crazy ass out the gate. You just don't do that. Or at the very least, I should say things that don't seem like they match who you are. You may say things to get people's attention, or the keywords. So that's the code switching. The keywords that would interest people and get them to lean in and want to listen more and see what you're talking about. But what you don't do is act like a fool and behave nonsensical to a manner that doesn't match who you are, your character. Again, if you grew up in that and it's obvious that you grew up in that, we all can respect it. But if you didn't grow up in that, don't do that. I like to use the reference of someone like Just Blaze. Just Blaze is one of my idols, although, Justin's only a little bit older than me. He's not that much older. We came up around roughly the same time when it comes to production. But his production style, I always say, is very scientific, very mad scientist type. And it makes sense when you learn who his parents are, how he grew up, the experiences, all the things that he understood in life. And when he went into the studio, he never switched up who he was just to be in the studio. He wasn't, yo, check it out. He wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? And it doesn't make sense for him to be that guy because that's not who he is. So I make that reference because my kids, as they're coming up and they're starting to get into music and they're asking me questions and I'm telling them, be yourself. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. You're growing up in a gated community with a lake and security. Don't go out there and act all crazy. Don't do that. Because that's not going to make sense to the audience. They're going to be like, it doesn't make any sense. Your dad grew up in the hood, but you ain't grew up in the hood. Like, I don't understand that. In closing with this message, I think the best way to improve the music community on YouTube is for us to change the behavior. Just be who you are. If you're geeky, if you're nerdy, if you're super intelligent, if you are ghetto, if you are a positive person, if you're a negative person, if whoever you are as a person, just be that person. Don't code switch into the Beastie Boys just to try to, sell some people and get people to actually enjoy your video and not scroll past you because they're scrolling past you because you're not being you. That's just the bottom line is you are not being you, so they are passing you because you're not being you. That's just what it is. That's the bottom line. We're going into 2026. Be you. Be positive. Be a little crazy. Add some words in that make no sense sometimes, but be you. Because they can see it. They can see through all of that. And as long as they can see through all of that, you're going to keep scrolling past. So that's my message to you guys. And I like this platform because I get to get all of my um, frustrating thoughts out of my head and share some wisdom on things. You know, growing up in Flatbush, New York was rough in the 80s. And I think 50 Cent said it best. You don't fight to get out of the community just to get out onto the world stage and try to go back into that community. Don't do that. Don't glorify things you either don't understand or things that are negative in the light of the community for likes, for looks, for streams, for clicks. Don't do that. Especially if you're still not living it. Show something different. It's definitely time for us to grow as a society. Doesn't matter your culture, doesn't matter where you're from. It's really, really time for us to bring the other foot into the future. Like, we've taken the first step and we keep pulling our leg back for some reason. Take the step and then bring the other leg along and let's move forward. Like, share, and subscribe. Join me next time.